Scar, help me. Long live the king!
Our story begins as the sun rises over the vast Pride Lands, pouring its golden light across the endless fields and hills. From every corner of the land, animals of all kinds make their way to the towering Pride Rock. Here, King Mufasa and Queen Sarabi, the ruling lions, stand proud, celebrating the birth of their son, Simba. With a warm, happy smile, Rafiki, the wise old monkey, steps forward. Carefully, he lifts the little prince high above his head for all to see. In a moment of deep respect, all the animals bow their heads, honoring the little prince, Simba, who will one day rule the Pride Lands. But just as the celebration filled the air, the scene shifted to a quieter and darker corner of the Pride Lands. There, a lion named Scar, King Mufasa's jealous brother. He was playing with a little mouse, thinking it would make a tasty little snack. He was full of anger, upset that he had lost his chance to be king, now that Simba had been born. Moments later, Mufasa arrived, strong and proud, with his loyal assistant Zazu. Mufasa asked Scar why he hadn't come to celebrate Simba's big day. But Scar simply said he forgot that today was Simba's ceremony, then turned his back and began to walk away.
Don't turn your back on me, Scar.
Oh no, Mufasa. Perhaps you shouldn't turn your back on me.
One beautiful morning, little Simba woke up full of energy and excitement. He rushed to his sleeping father and nudged him again and again. With a gentle laugh, Mufasa got to his feet and led Simba to the top of Pride Rock. Mufasa sat beside his son, and together they looked out over the vast sunlit lands stretching far and wide. Mufasa pointed out and said, "Everything the light touches is our kingdom." Simba's eyes lit up with wonder, but he quickly noticed a dark, shadowy place far away near the edge of the horizon. "What about that place?" he asked. Mufasa's face turned serious. He said firmly, "That's beyond our borders. You must never go there." Then Mufasa began to teach him something very important, the true meaning of being king. Being a king isn't just about taking power, he said. He told Simba that everything in this kingdom lives together in a delicate balance. As king, his job is not to take more, but to respect and protect that balance, and to care for all the creatures, big and small. We are all connected in what we call the circle of life. Simba listened closely, trying to take in all the wisdom his father shared. Just then, Zazu came flapping his wings in a panic and said, "Sire, I've spotted hyenas near the border." Mufasa's face turned serious. He looked at Simba and told him to go straight home. Simba, a little disappointed, nodded and started to head back, while Mufasa prepared to deal with the threat himself. But instead of going back to his mother, Simba's curiosity led him to his uncle Scar, who is resting all alone on his special rock, looking as mysterious as ever. Simba stood tall and proud in front of Scar, his little chest puffed out, and he said,
"Hey, Uncle Scar, guess what? I'm gonna be king of Pride Rock."
Oh, goody.
My dad just showed me the whole kingdom, and I'm gonna rule it all.
Then Scar replied.
He didn't show you what's beyond that rise of the northern border.
Simba's smile faded just a bit. He said, "No, I'm not allowed to go there." At first, Scar agreed that his father was absolutely right and said it was too dangerous. He pretended to be worried about Simba, but then he quietly revealed it.
An elephant graveyard is no place for a young prince.
An elephant what? Whoa.
Scar quickly acted as if he had made a mistake, but his mind was working on a very dark plan. He hadn't mentioned the graveyard by accident. He was hoping the curious young cub would be tempted to go, because deep down Scar had one goal: to get rid of Mufasa and Simba and claim the throne for himself. Excited and full of curiosity, Simba rushed off to find his best friend Nala. Nala was busy getting cleaned by her mother. What he really wanted was to explore the cool place he had found, but he didn't want to say it out loud in front of everyone. So, trying to hide his real plan, Simba quietly whispered that he wanted to go to the watering hole instead. But of course, their moms didn't let them go alone. Sarabi firmly said they had to take Zazu along to watch over them. So, with Zazu flying above and keeping a close eye on the two cubs, Simba and Nala set off together, excited for their adventure. As they walked side by side through the grasslands, Simba couldn't keep the secret any longer. With a mischievous grin, he finally told her the truth. They were not really going to the watering hole. They were heading to the elephant graveyard. Nala's eyes widened with surprise. The idea of visiting such a spooky, forbidden place was way too exciting to say no. But there was one big problem: Zazu. The bird was flying close by, watching their every move, making it impossible to go anywhere secretly. But they had an idea to get rid of Zazu. They started running through a crowd of animals, giggling with excitement as they zigzagged through the herd. Zazu tried his best to keep up, flapping his wings and shouting after them, but the cubs were too fast. In no time, they had left Zazu far behind. Now, nothing was stopping them. They finally stepped onto a strange land filled with giant bones, broken tusks, and clouds of gray mist swirling around the ground. They were standing in the elephant graveyard. As they looked around, Nala's excitement began to fade. She whispered to Simba that they had come too far from home and should head back before they got into trouble. But Simba, full of pride and curiosity, refused to turn back just yet. He wanted to explore more. He stepped forward, puffing out his chest, pretending to be brave. But suddenly, a deep and chilling voice cut through the silence. It was Shenzi, the leader of the hyenas. She stepped out from the shadows with a wicked grin on her face. Slowly, she and her group moved closer, surrounding Simba and Nala from all sides. Their creepy laugh and sharp teeth gave the cubs a cold, scary feeling. But before the hyenas could do anything, Zazu appeared and warned them that attacking Simba could start a big fight with Mufasa. But Shenzi didn't listen. Instead, with a hungry look, she gave the command, "Get them!" And at once the hyenas leapt forward. Simba tries to roar at them, but it only comes out as a weak growl. The hyenas burst into laughter and started teasing him. "Is that all you've got? Come on, little prince. Try again," they chuckled. Simba lowered his head, feeling embarrassed. But just then, a powerful roar echoed through the air. Mufasa rushed in and fought off the hyenas, warning them to leave and never come near his son again. Shenzi quickly apologized to Mufasa for bothering Simba and Nala. Simba and Nala stood close together, their hearts pounding, as Mufasa looked at them. Disappointed, he scolded Simba for being so reckless and for putting Nala in danger. As darkness took over the Pride Lands, the hyenas came out of their secret hideout, grumbling about not having enough food. But they weren't alone. Out of the shadows stepped Scar, the mastermind behind it all. He had planned everything carefully and had even tricked Simba and Nala into going near the hyenas. Now Scar looked at them with a sly grin. He reminded them how the lions ruled everything, while the hyenas got nothing. But he whispered, all of that could change. Scar revealed that the next morning he would put his big plan into action to kill Mufasa. He told the hyenas they must help him so he could take the throne and become king of the Pride Lands. If that happened, he promised there would be plenty of food for all the hyenas. Early that morning, Scar took Simba to a wide, rocky canyon and said, "Wait here. Your father had a wonderful surprise for you." Then Simba asked,
Ooh, what is it?
If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise now, would it?
If you tell me, I'll still act surprised.
You are such a naughty boy.
and by saying, "You should practice your roar until I bring your dad here," he walked away and quietly signaled the hyenas. At that moment, everything changed. The hyenas began snapping at the wildebeests grazing peacefully on the cliff above. Startled and scared, the herd suddenly bolted, thundering down the hill like a storm of hooves and dust. Suddenly, Simba felt something was wrong. The ground beneath him began to shake, as if it were an earthquake. His ears perked up, and his eyes widened with fear as he looked up at the cliff and saw a huge herd of wildebeests charging down the hill, heading straight to him. Terrified, Simba turned and ran as fast as he could. He spotted a lone tree in the canyon and scrambled up its trunk, clinging to the branches for safety. Meanwhile, to carry out his dark plan, Scar found Mufasa and Zazu and pretended he didn't know anything. He told them there was a stampede of wildebeests in the canyon and that Simba was trapped there. Without wasting a second, Mufasa rushed toward the canyon to save his son, while Zazu soared into the sky to look for Simba. Meanwhile, Simba was struggling to hold on. The tree shook wildly from the force of the stampede rumbling below, making it harder to keep his grip. Just then, Zazu swooped down through the dust and wind. "Hold on tight, Simba," he shouted. "I'll bring your father to you." Zazu quickly flew to Mufasa and shouted, "Simba is hanging on that tree!" Without a moment's hesitation, Mufasa rushed down the cliff and ran straight into the chaos. Dodging horns and hooves, he fought his way through the thundering herd of wildebeests. Finally, he reached Simba and lifted him to safety. But just as he tried to climb out himself, the stampede swept in, and Mufasa was dragged away by the charging herd. Seeing his father disappear into chaos, Simba froze in fear. But then, through the swirling stampede, Mufasa suddenly leapt up and grabbed onto the side of the canyon wall. He clung tightly with his claws, struggling to climb to safety. At the moment Mufasa reached the top, Scar appeared above him. Mufasa looked up, hope flickering in his eyes.
Scar! Help me! Long live the king!
Simba cried out, begging his father to wake up, but Mufasa didn't move. As the young Simba tried to take warmth from his father's body, Scar stepped out from the dust, his eyes cold and cruel. Without any mercy, he blamed Simba for Mufasa's death, saying it was all his fault. Scared and heartbroken, Simba looked up at Scar, tears streaming down his face, and asked,
What am I gonna do?
Run away and never return.
Though Scar had killed Mufasa and already succeeded in his dark plan, but even that wasn't enough. He still refused to spare young Simba. He ordered the hyenas to chase him down and finish the job. Simba ran as fast as his legs could carry him, fear driving every step. He reached the edge of a cliff, but before he could stop, he slipped and tumbled over the side. But the hyenas think Simba couldn't have survived the fall and are too scared to climb down and look. Meanwhile, Simba hid nearby, hoping to stay safe as he continued his journey away from home. Heartbroken and full of fear, Simba ran away with tears in his eyes, leaving behind his home, his family, and everything he knew.
In part 1, we saw Simba's birth filled the wildland with joy, but Scar's jealousy turned everything upside down. Scar's evil plan led to Mufasa's death, and Simba was made to believe he caused it. Fleeing in fear, Simba grew up far from home, unaware of his true destiny. Now the story continues in part 2. It was a beautiful morning at Wildland, a serene and peaceful place where all the animals lived. The sun shone brightly over the green jungle, and Simba, the Lion King, was walking through the jungle with his daughter, Kiara. Simba suddenly stopped walking. He sniffed the air and felt something wasn't right. His face turned serious as he told Kiara to go back to the cave. Simba said he needed to find Nala, Kiara's mother, because she might be in trouble. He promised Kiara he would come back soon, but Kiara felt afraid. She didn't want her father to go. Simba told Kiara not to worry because Timon and Pumbaa would stay with her while he was away. Simba kissed her gently and left quickly. Kiara sat quietly in the cave, waiting for her father to come back. Time passed, and the sky outside turned dark. Soon, heavy rain began to pour down. Kiara had never seen rain like this before. The sound of the raindrops hitting the ground made her feel nervous. As the rain grew heavier, Kiara felt more scared. Just then, Kiara heard a familiar voice. It was Rafiki. Her eyes lit up with happiness as Rafiki walked into the cave, smiling warmly at her. She told Rafiki how frightened she was of the rain. Rafiki listened kindly, and then he told her that even the bravest lions, like her father Simba and her grandfather Mufasa, were once afraid of water. But they learned to face their fears and became strong. Rafiki's words made Kiara think. She admired her father and grandfather and wanted to be as brave as they were, but she still felt unsure. Rafiki smiled and said he had a story to share, a story about someone who once felt just like her. This is how Rafiki began telling Kiara the story of Mufasa's early life. Many years ago, before Simba became king, there was a young lion named Mufasa. He was the son of two wise and kind lions, Ahadi and Yuru. But the land where they lived was very different from the lush and green wildland. It was dry, barren land, with where the trees were few and the water was hard to find. Mufasa's parents often told him stories about a faraway place, a paradise full of green forests and running rivers called Milili. They said there was no shortage of food, water, or beauty. This place, they explained, was beyond the mountains, and one day, Mufasa was meant to go there. His life in the barren land was full of struggle, but the stories of Milili always filled his heart with hope. One day, as Mufasa played outside with his parents, the sky suddenly changed. Dark clouds gathered, and the wind started to blow. Mufasa had never seen anything like it before. The first raindrops began to fall slowly, but soon the rain grew stronger. The animals in the dry land celebrated. The rain was a rare gift in the dry, barren land. Mufasa's parents smiled and laughed, enjoying the cool rain on their fur. Mufasa was excited too. He ran to a nearby stream, eager to play in the water, feeling the joy of the rain. Soon, the rain got much heavier, and the stream, which had been small and calm, was now a fast and dangerous river. Mufasa's parents got worried as the rain kept pouring down. Mufasa's father ran towards him, trying to get him to safety, but the water was so strong that it swept Mufasa away before his father could reach him. Mufasa was carried by the flood, floating far from home. The water tossed him around, and he struggled to stay afloat. Mufasa was pulled farther and farther away. Everything he knew seemed to disappear, and the only thing Mufasa could do was hold on and hope. Eventually, the water started to slow down, and Mufasa found himself floating near the edge of a new, unfamiliar land. He was tired and scared as he looked around, and realized the flood had carried him to a totally different place. While he tried to catch his breath, he saw another lion cub about his age running towards him. The lion cub's name was Taka. He was curious and concerned when he saw Mufasa struggling in the water. Taka quickly warned Mufasa to get out of the water, telling him that dangerous crocodiles lived there. With Taka's help, Mufasa managed to pull himself out of the water. Taka introduced Mufasa to his mother, Aisha. She scolded Taka for talking to a stranger and reminded him of his royal status. Aisha said Taka, being of royal blood, shouldn't be with its stray lion. But Taka, being brave and caring, stood by his new friend and said, "I always wanted a brother. Mom, please let Mufasa stay with us." Mufasa then explained that he wasn't a stray, but had been separated from his family because of the flood. Aisha saw the kindness in her son's heart and understood that Mufasa needed help. Feeling sympathy for the lost cub, Aisha decided to take Mufasa to the king, Obasi, for help. Obasi, the king of the land, wasn't sure what to do with Mufasa. He worried that bringing an unknown lion cub into their family might cause trouble, so he decided to test Mufasa. He told Yishi that they would have a race between Mufasa and Taka. If Mufasa won, he could stay with them. Mufasa, exhausted from everything, struggled to keep up in the race. But Taka, seeing this, made a surprising choice. He slowed down and let Mufasa cross the finish line first. Obasi was sad that Taka lost, but he kept his promise and let Mufasa stay. Mufasa became part of their family, but Obasi never treated him like his own son. Although Mufasa wasn't born into the family, Taka treated him like a brother. Yishi, who had already accepted Mufasa as her own son, taught him how to hunt and fight. Mufasa learned quickly because he was smart and focused. Yishi was proud of how strong and brave he was becoming. On the other hand, Taka spent most of his time with his father, Obasi, who was lazy and preferred to relax rather than teach Taka much. As time passed, Mufasa grew stronger and smarter, becoming an excellent hunter. His sharp senses made him stand out. He could smell things from far away and knew where to find food before anyone else could. Mufasa was happy to be part of Taka's family, even though he missed his own parents. One day, Mufasa and Yishi went hunting together. They went into a place they hadn't explored before. As they got close to a river, they saw something strange. A group of lions with white fur came out of the trees. These lions were bigger and scarier than any lions Mufasa had seen. Yishi quickly told Mufasa to hide, and they both tried to stay out of sight, but the white lion saw them. Mufasa knew he couldn't run, so he bravely stayed, ready to protect Yishi. Taka, who had been following them, saw what was happening. He felt scared and hid behind some bushes, too afraid to move or help Mufasa. He watched as Mufasa fought the white lions all by himself. He even managed to defeat one of the white lions. When the other white lions saw their friend fall, they quickly turned and ran away. Taka slowly came out of the bushes, feeling embarrassed. He apologized to Mufasa for not helping during the fight, admitting that he had been too scared. Yishi reassured Taka, telling him that there would be other chances for him to be brave in the future. The three of them headed back home, but they knew their troubles weren't finished yet. One of the white lions, who had been killed during the battle, was the son of the White Lion King, a fierce and powerful lion named Kiros. When Kiros learned of his son's death, he was filled with anger and grief. Kiros roared in anger and pain. His pride of white lions was known for being powerful, and losing his son was too much for him. He promised to take revenge on Mufasa for killing his son. He immediately called together his army of white lions and ordered them to prepare for battle. While this was happening, Obasi's spy returned with news about Kiro's anger and his plan to attack. When Obasi heard this, he realized that Mufasa and Taka were in great danger. Obasi was worried. He had always followed the lion laws, respecting boundaries and peace, but Kiros was different. All Kiros cared about was getting revenge for his son's death. Kiros and his army could arrive at any time, and Obasi had no time to waste. He decided to save Mufasa and Taka, so he called his family together to make one final plan. After thinking carefully, Obasi made a tough decision. He told Mufasa and Taka they had to leave right away and travel across the mountains to a faraway place. It was the only safe spot where Kiros and his army couldn't find them. Although Mufasa and and Taka were hesitant at first, they knew it was the only option to stay alive. As the sun rose, the peace of Obasi's land was broken by the arrival of Kiros and his army of white lions. Their roars filled the air, striking fear into the hearts of all who heard them. Obasi tried to talk to Kiros, hoping to stop the fight, but Kiros didn't listen. He was set on getting his revenge. The battle began as Kiros and his lions attacked. Obasi, Yishi, and their allies fought back bravely, with claws and teeth clashing in a fierce struggle. Kiros demanded to know where Mufasa was hiding, but Obasi refused to tell him. Kiros roared loudly and said he would destroy everything in his path until he found them. Mufasa and Taka had been traveling for hours, following the sun to find their way to the mountain. They were both exhausted and worried about their family, but they kept moving. As they continued, a loud noise broke the silence. Birds flew in big groups behind them, chirping loudly. Mufasa stopped and looked back, thinking the noise could mean Kiros and his army were following them. He quickly told Taka to run, and both lions started running as fast as they could. Their escape brought them to a huge waterfall, with the loud sound of water crashing down all around them. With no way to escape, Mufasa considered fighting Kiros and his army, but Taka, who was not as brave as Mufasa, was scared to face them. Without wasting time, they shared a quick look and then jumped together, diving into the cold, rushing water below. The force of the water carried them far downstream, narrowly escaping their enemies once again. After escaping the waterfall, Mufasa and Taka walked deeper into the forest. It was night, and the darkness surrounded them. Suddenly, Mufasa bumped into a young lioness who seemed to be about their age. The lioness introduced herself as Sarabi. She explained that she had been lost in the jungle for a long time. Sarabi was the daughter of a lion king from another land, but her pride had scattered after an attack by rival lions. Since then, she had been searching for a safe place. With her was Zazu, a colorful and clever bird who was her loyal companion. Feeling sorry for her, they welcomed Sarabi and Zazu to join their journey. Together, the four became friends and formed a strong bond. As their journey continued, the group grew even stronger. While traveling through the jungle, they found a lonely monkey named Rafiki. He had been kicked out of his troop because of his strange abilities. Seeing how helpful he could be, Mufasa and the others invited him to join them. As the group continued their journey, Rafiki proved to be a valuable addition. With his instincts and special abilities, Rafiki guided them through unfamiliar terrains, ensuring they stayed on the safest route. Taka's feelings for Sarabi were growing stronger. He admired her kindness, strength, and bravery, but he couldn't figure out the right words to express his feelings. Taka went to Mufasa and, with hesitation, shared his feelings for Sarabi. He asked Mufasa for advice on how to win her heart. Mufasa, always a supportive friend, suggested a compliment. Tell her she smells like fresh flowers. Curious, Taka asked how he could make it sound convincing. Mufasa confidently replied, "You know my sense of smell is sharper than any other lion's. Just trust me." Encouraged by Mufasa's advice, Taka gathered his courage and approached Sarabi later that day. As they walked, he nervously said she reminded him of the fragrance of fresh flowers in the jungle. Sarabi, touched by his heartfelt word, smiled warmly and thanked him. As they continued their journey, the air grew tense. Zazu, always on alert, suddenly saw something strange. His sharp eyes spotted Kiros and his army. Surrounding them, they had no way of escaping. The group was trapped. Panic set in as they realized that Kiros was getting closer. But just when all hope seemed lost, Rafiki noticed a large herd of elephants was heading toward them. Rafiki quickly saw an opportunity. He whispered to Mufasa, "If we can make the elephants scatter, we might have a chance to escape." Without wasting a moment, Rafiki spotted a beehive nearby and with a swift strike, disturbed it. The bees flew out, buzzing angrily and stinging the elephants. In a panic, the elephants started running wildly, causing a chaos and completely confusing Kiros and his army. But suddenly, Sarabi was knocked out by an elephant and fell in the middle of the herd. Without thinking, Mufasa ran to her, picked her up, and carried her to safety. When they were safe, Sarabi woke up, confused but relieved. Mufasa told her a lie, saying it was Taka who saved her, because he wanted Sarabi to start liking Taka as well. As Mufasa and his team continued their journey, they reached the large snowy mountain. Mufasa told them that right beyond the mountain was Milili. Mufasa was also getting closer to Sarabi. They often found themselves walking together, laughing and sharing quiet moments. They didn't say anything, there was a natural connection between them. Taka noticed how comfortable Sarabi was with Mufasa, and jealousy grew in his heart. He became angry and decided to take revenge on Mufasa for taking Sarabi. His feelings of envy started to change the bond between the two two brothers. Feeling hurt, Taka went down to find Kiros and his army. He told Kiros he wanted to join him because Mufasa was now his enemy and had betrayed him. Kiros agreed to take him in. Taka then made a plan to secretly follow Mufasa, leaving claw marks on rocks to guide Kiros to him. Taka returns to the group after being gone all night. Mufasa asks where he was, and Taka replies that he went hunting but couldn't find any prey. Mufasa trusts him and doesn't ask further. The group continued their journey toward Malele, hoping it would be a safe place. After a long walk, they finally reached Malele. It was a lush, green jungle filled with colorful flowers and clear streams. The place looked like paradise, and everyone felt happy and at peace. Suddenly, Mufasa heard loud roar and turned around. To his shock, Kiros and his army were standing there. Mufasa was confused about how Kiros had found them. All the animals approached and warned Mufasa to leave immediately. They were afraid that Kiros would not only harm Mufasa, but also attack everyone in Malele. Mufasa tried to calm them down, convincing them to fight alongside him. Taka stepped forward and revealed the truth. He admitted that he had helped Kiros by leaving claw marks along the way. Mufasa was shocked and hurt to learn that Taka had betrayed them. This set the stage for the big fight that was about to begin. Kiros stood face to face with Mufasa and immediately attacked. A fierce battle broke out between the two lions, while Mufasa's friends fought against Kiros's army. The jungle was filled with growls, roars, and the sounds of fierce fighting. Kiros was bigger and stronger, allowing him to dominate the fight. Mufasa struggled to defend himself as Kiros relentlessly overpowered him, making the fight even more intense. Taka stood at a distance, watching the fierce battle between Mufasa and Kiros. He felt confused and scared, unsure of what to do. Then, he remembered his mother Yushi's words, "One day, you'll have a chance to show your bravery. When that moment comes, don't miss it." As Taka reflected on her advice, he realized that this was his moment to be brave. He couldn't let Mufasa fight alone. With newfound courage, Taka made a decision. He would join Mufasa and fight alongside him against Kiros. As the battle grew intense, Kiros raised his powerful claw, preparing to strike Mufasa. Just as the claw was about to strike, Taka jumped in front of Mufasa, protecting him. Kiros's sharp claw cut across Taka's face, leaving a deep scar. Even with the pain, Taka stayed strong. He and Mufasa fought together with all their strength. Kiros tried to kill Mufasa by pushing him underwater, but Mufasa was saved when a large rock fell on Kiros, crushing him, ultimately ending the fight. Mufasa then swam to safety. With Kiros defeated, peace returned to the jungle. The animals gathered and made Mufasa their new king, praising him for his bravery and for saving them from Kiros's terror. Mufasa's mother, who had been away for years, came forward. Tears of joy filled her eyes as she hugged her son. Mufasa, thrilled to see her again, promised to create a kingdom where everyone could live safely and happily. The animals cheered loudly, celebrating the beginning of a new, peaceful era under King Mufasa. After Mufasa became king, the animals discussed Taka's betrayal. Many wanted him banished for helping Kiros. Mufasa listened, then said, "Taka is like my brother. He made a mistake, but he helped defeat Kiros. As long as I'm king, he stays." Taka stood in front of the animals, feeling the weight of their judgment. Touching the scar on his face, he said, "From today, I will be called Scar. This scar will remind me of my mistake and teach me to do better." Rafiki finished telling the story to Kiera, Simba's daughter. She was amazed and excited. At that moment, Simba and Nala walked up to Kiera. Nala smiled and said, "We'd like you to meet someone special." Simba stepped aside to reveal a little lion cub, Kiera's newborn sibling. Kiera's eyes lit up with joy.